So we're up to day 17. And now we have a group of 6. Miut, minimum. And we have a group of 6 concepts. Miut Sechorah, Miut Derech Eretz, Miut Ta'anug, Miut Shina, Miut Sicha, Miut Schoik. Loosely translated, minimal business, minimal derech eretz. And tomorrow we'll have to speak about what does derech eretz mean. Minimal pleasure, minimal sleep, minimal talk, minimal laughter. Basically, we can interpret all 6. Minimal means, do you need to try to minimize and strive maybe not at all? Or is the proper interpretation in the positive context, you need at least some sleep, some pleasure, some talk, some laughter. Most of the commentators explain you need to try to minimize as much as you can. So these 6 will keep us busy, obviously, for 6 days. 6 different Kinyanim in the magnificent list of Kinyonei Torah. So let's try to deal with number 1, Miut Sechorah. Rashi on the spot. The Omar Mar, lo timtza Torah lo b'sachronim velo b'tagronim. We don't find Torah in business people or in peddlers. Rashi doesn't bring the source, but the source is a Gemara in Erev in Daf Nun Hey Omud Aleph. Rabbi Yochanan Omar, lo b'shamayim hi, lo timtzu begase ruach. Shammai means people whose heads are in the skies, people that are arrogant. Velo ma'ever liyam, lo timtzu lo b'sachronim velo b'tagronim. Not those that travel the world to sell and to buy and to do business. We find another source I quoted just a few days ago, Nidid Afayno Medbeis. Shalu Anshe Alexandria Shel Mitzrayim et Rabbi Yeshua ben Hanania. The people of Alexandria asked Rabbi Yeshua ben Hanania, Ma yaso odom v'yechkam? How is the way to achieve Chochmah? Omar Lohem, Yarbe b'yeshiva, v'yamayit b'sechorah. So let us note, Yarbe b'yeshiva. However, yamayit b'sechorah. So it should be no wonder that one of the methods and one of the stepping stones to Kinyan Torah is Miut Sechorah. How much? Minimum. Minimize. How much? So in Brochas Lamed Hayomet Beis we have the very famous Machlokes between Rabbi Shimon and Rabbi Shimon bar Yochai. Ve'osafto degonecha. Dvorim kichsavam, v'halo iksiv lo yom sefer haTorah hazeh mepicha, v'ogisa b'yoyimam v'layla. So there seems to be a contradiction between a posuk in Kriya Shema, v'yosafta legonecha, you should harvest your fields, and a posuk in the first perek of Sefer Yoshua, v'ogisa b'yoyimam v'layla. Rabbi Shmuel says, Hanig behem minag derech eretz. We are people. We have families. We must provide and care for our families. Hanheg behem minag derech eretz. You need to bring parnasa and to sustain your family. And Reb Shimon bar Yochai disagrees and he says, Zachu malachta nazas al yedei acherim. And Reb Shimon quotes a posuk hanavi, v'amdu zarim ura'u tzonchem. And other strangers will be shepherds of your flock. They will plow your fields and they will sow and they will harvest. Harba osu ki Reb Shimon v'lo yolsu biyodom. many have tried to follow in the footsteps of Reb Shimon also be the man. It was not successful. So the Maharsha and many others say, Halacha ki Rabbi Shmuel. Reb Chaim Volozhin stresses, Harba osu ki Reb Shimon also be Yodam. It might be a good way for the individual, but not for the masses, not for the public. Hanig behem minig derech eretz. But then the question arises, how much? Could this be quantified? Should you spend most of your time learning or most of your time providing, working, whether it's manual labor or it's business? You might be surprised to learn that this is a machlekes between the great Bali Tosfos. And we find two sources for this machlekes. Tosfos Arosh Brochas Lamed Hey, source of the sugya, and Tosfos Yeshonim in Yom Pei Hey. Rabbeinu Elchanan, one of the Bali Tosfos, his opinion was most of the day learning, some business. Tosfos Arosh quotes the Ri, Tosfos Yeshonim Rabbeinu Tam, and I just want to make a comment. The Ri and Rabbeinu Tam were the two giants. They were the two greatest Bali Tosfos. And I don't think there's one page in Shas in which we do not find either the Ri or Rabbeinu Tam. And they both maintain most of your day, work to provide for your family, and whatever is left for Talmud Torah. And the Ri and Rabbeinu Tam based their opinion on a Mishnah Perik Beis in Masechet Avos. Yovo Talmud Torah im derech eretz. Talmud Torah im derech eretz, mashma derech eretz ikar, Talmud Torah tofel. I don't think there's any dispute between Rabbi Shmuel and Rabbi Shimon, or between Rabbeinu Elchanan and the Ri and Rabbeinu Tam regarding the love of Torah. Rabbi Shimon loved Torah as much as Rabbi Shmuel, and Rabbi Shmuel loved Torah no less than Rabbi Shimon. The great Bali Tosfos Rabbeinu Tam and the Ri loved Torah no less than Rabbeinu Elchanan. It is just a question of practicality. And therefore I think Halacha L'Maaseh depends on the call of the times. In the world of yore, the vast majority of people had parnasa by manual labor. And even the business people were peddlers. And they needed to work many, many long hours. And therefore the great Bali Tosfos maintained there's no other way about it. If you really need to provide for your family, then you will need to work most of the day. Rabbi Shmuel says, Hanig behem minig derech eretz. We live in a different world. So many people today have parnasa from their investments, and they don't need to spend many hours in stores and factories, in shops, in offices. What we all need to understand is the importance and the centrality of Torah. Like the Navi says, Lo yomer sefer ha-Torah hazeh mepicho, v'hogisa b'yom v'layla. So the very first one of the six is miut Sechorah. Minimal business. Try to minimize your work, your business, and dedicate as much time as you can to learn Torah. But do not forget, Haneg behem minig derech eretz, and you need to provide for your family. Have a beautiful day, all of you.